I know I said I was going to do it on Mondays, but the Small Contractor's Guide to Disputes and Claims. I think I have it 99.9% done. And I think I gave you the word from the author. I'm going to give you, here we go. Numero 1. The first, and this is going to disappoint some of you. I hope it doesn't. Let me take my hat off. I had to go down the hill. Had to go down to Bakersfield today. See the neurologist. And every doc wants to give you new medications. So, anyhow. Here we go. But this is like my first installment of real information. I know I touched on it previously, and I'm going to call this chapter 1. But it's the change. And I think that anyone that would be looking for this kind of change has already gone through this process. I'm hoping so. If you haven't, that's the reason I'm doing it. So I'm going to make the first couple of chapters very brief before we start going into this, the final discussions on the COR, change order request, or PCO. Depends on who you're working for, what they want to call them. I've called them both. But anyhow, here we have the change. The change is what causes all... let me turn on a light. There we go. Don't know if you want to see me better, but you have to. But anyhow, the change is what causes all contract disputes, no matter what they are. There's a change. Whether it's acknowledged or not. And that is no joke, because there are so many times that scope is not well defined enough as a subcontractor, or a contractor for that matter, or a prime, that you don't define your scope well enough to where the other party thinks that this is included. And you know what architects always do is architects have a lot of people don't know is architects only have a 15% disclaimer that if they miss out, if they don't describe thoroughly the work that the contractor has to do, 15% of the overall contract price is not billable back to the architect or as a liability. I learned this a lot later on, but anyhow. It is commonly the result of one or more factors, either schedule timing, activity duration, trade stacking, scope additions or scope deletions, and pre-bid non-specific scope, unforeseen activities, project delays or material unavailability based on when that activity was supposed to transpire. Acts of God and etc. Acts of God mean your job site got rained out for 4 months and the owner didn't have control of it, neither did the contractor. Doesn't mean that you may not be entitled to extended overhead at that point, but you would be entitled to, during the Biden administration, the increase of material costs from the time that you bid it to the time that it has to be delivered. And if you don't have your supplier locked in, then more than a 10% increase is billable to the owner. The owner cannot benefit from a delay. The bottom line is the owner is in charge of their own property. And that's what so many people don't understand. So many people don't understand. So, let me go to the next line. More often than not, it is a task that is unforeseen and not included in your bid. On significant size contracts, I have always volunteered a certified and sealed copy of my bid documents that may later be used to prove my position. I cannot reiterate enough on this. Ask for escrow documents. The minute you get, I would say, a project at least $200,000 or more, ask for escrow documents. But you want them sealed until the end of the job. So you put them in a manila envelope, you seal them, you sign them, and so does your general contractor or your CM or whoever or owner, and just say, this is how I calculated this bid, and it's in here, and neither you nor I can look at it. And what it does is keeps everybody honest at the end. One of the best escrow documents, hands down, saves so many disputes, and because either you bid it or you didn't bid it. And if you bid it, then shame on you. And if you didn't bid it, the owner cannot, via a change in the contract documents, the owner cannot benefit from a change. They can't. It's against the law in the state of California, and I'm pretty sure in every other state. California is probably one of the most stringent laws. So, I'm going to skip down to, regardless of the change, there's three questions that have to be asked or answered by you, the contractor. Number one, what is the change? What's the scope? What's the realm of the change? Number two, how was it realized? How did you realize this? Was it through an RFI? Was it through a, it doesn't matter. RFIs usually are the way changes are experienced. And then last one, this is the top of the note. When was it realized? Because you have typically, and I don't know like I said, I've only contracted in Arizona, California, and Nevada. Typically, within 72 hours of you acknowledging that there's a change, you have to notify the owner. And at the end of my manual, it gives you a typo letter. I have so many typo letters that I've used over the years. But basically what you're going to do is say, hey, there's a impending change. And then they say, all right, well, you only have 5 days or 10 days according to contract to give it to me. That's incorrect. That is incorrect in any state. Is that within 5 to 10 days, based on your contract, you have the obligation to submitting a price upon its full realization. And a lot of people don't understand that. Upon full realization. All right, so you get an RFI answer back. All right, well, I thought it was going to impact. All right, we're going to say you're a small general contractor. You send it out to 21 subcontractors. You give them 5 days to respond. Then you find out, hey, I thought it was only going to impact 3 or 4 subcontractors, and now it's going to impact 11 of my 26 subcontractors. Happens all the time. So-and-so says they have a portion in this too. Might only be $20. I don't care what it is. But you don't have the obligation to submit a good cost proposal to the owner until the entire impact is realized. No different than when you submit them the PCO or request for proposal or change order. They can continue to ask, and every single time that either you communicate with them or they communicate with you, the time frame resets, and they can't use that against you. And that's what I geared this book about. This book is about all the small contractors, probably for the first time or maybe second time, that they have filed disputes or large CORs. I mean, my largest COR was $21.5 million, which is not that big. And considering I was 35 years in, but I didn't want to work for the big contractors. I liked working for the middle to low contractors because I could do the most benefit for them. So we've identified what the change is. I'm going to do the next step. I know the reason you're tuning in is to find out about dispute and claim. And we're about, 2 chapters from that. But this is something I need to sign off of. I hope they don't kick it. So, la-di-da, happy Friday, Merry Christmas.